Welcome back to the Many Toys Of, the show in which we go over the action figure history of various Transformers characters. And I will admit, I wanted this to be the Thanksgiving episode, but Jetfire took precedent on that one. And so, this, the first week of December, will be dedicated to ushering in the Beast era with my favorite Beast Wars character, Airazor. Now, how would I describe Airazor to someone who's not familiar with the character? Well, I think the first thing a lot of people would bring up is the fact that she was an excellent aerial combatant. Throughout the entire Beast Wars, there was no one else, neither Predacon nor Maximal, who could compare to Airazor in her ability to fly in the skies. Past that, there was her relationship with Tigatron. The two of them were both Earth-based protoforms. The only home they ever knew was the planet Earth, and that's how they bonded. Whereas many of the Maximals would stay around the base, Airazor and Tigatron always enjoyed staying in their beast modes and going to see what Earth had to offer. That, unfortunately, is also what saw the two of them die together, as they were kidnapped by some horrible alien booby trap later revealed to be the Vok, who stole their bodies to form Tigerhawk. In spite of that, there was a lot more to Airazor that I think a lot of people forget. There was an emotional side to her. She was almost like an older sister to Cheetor the times they interacted. She showed a modicum of respect to Rat Trap, seemingly understanding that whenever he would start to diminish others, it was because of his own insecurities. Past that, she respected Optimus Primal and had an almost father-daughter relationship with Rhinox. Airazor also has a lot of importance within the fandom. She was the first woman Maximal, she was one of the first women characters in Beast Wars alongside Black Arachnia, she had the first toy that was designed to be a woman character, that being her Transmetal figure, and finally, she was just cool. Much like RC before her, she was a good version of a woman character in a cartoon targeted towards little boys. Airazor wasn't there for the characters to have crushes on, and the times that the Predacons underestimated her, most specifically Waspinator and Pterosaur, they paid for it. All those reasons make Airazor actually have a very important place within the development of our fandom and the inclusiveness of it, and I don't think any of that should be taken for granted. Of course, it helps that she had some incredible toys. I mean, just like her original Basic Class figure from 1997, that is my favorite Beast Wars toy of all time. Despite being Basic Class, the smallest of all price points, there's so much going on here. For one, considering the year of 97, this is a fantastic bird mode. I honestly couldn't say anything that would make it better. Sure, it'd be nice if you had a real chest that could cover up the arms, but again, smallest price point of Transformers, in a year in which birds seemingly could have been impossible, they achieved an excellent Falcon. And past that, you have gimmicks here, such as the wing flapping, or the power pinch that can happen. Get into robot mode, you get to discover that Airazor has an incredible transformation and incredibly solid proportions. The design is near screen accurate, even though the head is a bit off. It's a lot more accurate than many Beast Wars characters. I especially love the gun that's actually just an extended version of her talons. It looks like she just ripped off her own bird leg and is using it as a rifle now. In robot mode, you can still flap the wings, the articulation's completely on point to get multiple great poses. It's a fantastic toy, and one that would have only ran you about $5. In 1998, there would be a slight retool of the original Airazor toy. This was just to fix a misassembly with the lower beak of the bird mode. In Japan, you could get Heaven Showdown, a 2-pack that included Airazor alongside Kuiger, who you might better know as Insecticon. Meanwhile, in the United States, you could get a more show-accurate Airazor that came with a VHS including the episodes Aftermath and Coming of the Fusers Part 1. Even though the deco is much better here, unfortunately, there were some QC issues. Airazor had some very weak joints and had a hard time even standing up. However, the big event for Airazor in 1998 was her deluxe Transmetal figure. Remember what I said earlier, this was the first Transformer figure ever designed to be a female character. And unfortunately, I don't think it's as good as the basic. Let's go over some of the good points, right? In vehicle mode, I love how the Falcon looks. It actually reminds me a lot of Zor from He-Man with the colors. In robot mode, it has a good look as well. Unfortunately, the robot is incredibly back-heavy. It has to use its wings as a tripod, which greatly limits your ability to articulate the figure. The kibble is actually a problem all throughout. Just look at how the arms are impaired by her giant bird feet. The head sculpt is interesting, I mean I like it, but you don't really see much of Airazor's character here. Going back to the bird mode, I do like it again, but I can't help but think about how much of the robot mode's issues are all from this mode, or specifically this mode's seaplane mode. Don't get me wrong, I like seaplanes. This is the first Transformer I can think of that had a seaplane mode. You had to go to Water Walking GoBots to find another one. Unfortunately, the gimmick just makes this guy almost impossible to transform. It is cool that the pontoons can become guns. That's about all this toy has going for it. It's a shame that this is the first female Transformer toy design ever, and it's so heavily impaired, but it's also pretty much on par with a lot of the Transmetals. Don't get me wrong, a lot of them were pretty rough, very rough even. Airazor actually is one of the better ones, all things considered. In 1999 in Japan, Metal's Airazor was both individually released and in Heatwave Showdown, a 2-pack alongside Quick Strike. Here's an Airazor I'm only now finding out about. In 2000, you would have had the Fox Kids Airazor come out, a redeco of the Transmetal toy. You can look at the colors, that's a lot more similar to Airazor. Going into 2003, we'd be introduced to our first ever new version of Airazor, that being Armada Airazor alongside her Minicon partner Nightscream. Now, this Airazor is a retool of the original Transmetal Airazor, but I love the deco here. The black and red give her a solid, powerful look. Alongside the Fox Kids version, I do think that this is an incredible take on this mold, though it still has many of the issues, including the need to tripod. The thing is, this figure is molded with a Decepticon logo on her back, but it was painted over with an Autobot logo. And this apparently was a call from Hasbro. Aaron Archer intended for this to be a Decepticon, which is also why Airazor is identified as a Herald of Unicron, someone who's working with Sideways. But Hasbro stepped in and said that Airazor had to remain a heroic name. So the toy was sold as an Autobot, it has an Autobot logo, but the bio still says that she's working for Unicron, only now she's brainwashed as opposed to doing it of her own volition. In 2007, the Transformers Collectors Club would take a stab at Airazor, but called her the Chromia 10 Pilot, and used the Energon Slugslinger mold to give us a Cybertronian Airazor, an idea as to what she might have looked like before she signed on to the Axelon. I love this figure. If you saw my top 10 Energon figures video, you would know this is my favorite Energon figure of all time. I think it's inspired. An unbelievably on-point remolding of Slugslinger to give us Airazor. It feels like that's what this mold was intended to be. It matches so perfectly. The transformation's incredible, the 2-cockpit jet mode is funny as always, and the robot mode is just gorgeous. One of my favorite Airazors ever, and my favorite Airazor that doesn't turn into a bird. A spoiler for some figures down the list, I suppose. In 2008, Airazor would be brought into the G1 continuity as a name dump. Yeah, this little guy was supposed to be Slingshot for Universe Superion, but they lost the copyright, so, now it's Airazor. But it's all good. In 2009, Airazor was going to be in Revenge of the Fallen as the same exact figure from Universe. But guys, it's okay. Airazor's not forgot, okay? She's going to show up in Prime as a Construct Bot. Not even a full Construct Bot. She's just an accessory to Bulkhead and a guy named Wolfang. Who the hell is Wolfang? So if you were a professional Airazor fan like I was, you started to get pretty scared around this time. I mean, it seems like she was just becoming a name dump, and quickly. This was a character with a legacy. Why wasn't it being respected? Thankfully, third party might come around and do something, right? Airazor's not had any third party figures. Okay, but Robots in Disguise. There would be an Airazor in RID 2015. They're doing animal characters. Maybe Airazor shows up and it's a name dump again. It's just one of the minicons that hang out with Fracture. Don't get me wrong, it's a great minicon. I like the design, but yeah, this is Airazor for the modern day. Takara Tomy and their Transformers Adventure line would do the same character with a fully lavender body, and I do enjoy how it looks. So if you got the Creo Optimus Prime Beast Blaster, you could finally get an Airazor Creon, but it was the RID Airazor. In 2016, Japan would take another stab at Airazor from RID, giving us the most screen-accurate version of the toy yet. But who's that over the horizon? Why, is that BotCon 2016 and they're going to be doing an Airazor? They gave us a new Cybertronian Airazor, and they're using Legend Slipstream, a really good remold of the thrilling 30 Windblade. Now, this one I like a lot. It's not perfect for an Airazor. The deco's really nice, I like it a lot, but aside from the head crest on the forehead, it just doesn't really look like our old girl. It's just, a cool looking Slipstream. Now, it took a little bit of time, i.e. 5 years, but this would open the gates to a lot of new proper Airazors. Starting in 2021, where we got the War for Cybertron Kingdom Airazor, and this is just the best toy the character's ever had, in my opinion. Transformation, incredible. Honestly, one of the best transformations at the deluxe level ever. An incredibly articulate bird mode with a good conversion that gives you an awesome robot mode, as screen accurate as it could possibly be at this scale. The wings are still amazing to use in robot mode, they included her missiles, everything looks on point. Sure, I do wish there's a little bit more paint on the go. Airazor isn't really accurate to either the show or the toy, but that doesn't change the fact that this was it. This was Airazor's big return, and it was as the best toy in all of Kingdom. In 2022, Jada Toys would do a nano metafig of Airazor, and I quite like it. It's pretty solid. In 2023, you'd be able to get the same nano metafig in a different multi-pack. Of course, 2023 was a massive year for Airazor because she finally made it to the silver screen. She was one of the major characters in Rise of the Beasts. And even though Rise of the Beasts is not my favorite Transformers movie, not by a long shot, I will say that Airazor and Optimus Primal were the first time in any of the live-action movies where I felt like two of the Transformers actually had chemistry with each other. Michelle Yeoh, yeah, that's right, Oscar Award winner Michelle Yeoh, voiced Airazor and gave her such pathos. The first toy of Airazor you'd be able to get was the Studio Series Deluxe Class Airazor, and this figure's interesting because there was no robot mode for Airazor in Rise of the Beasts, only some concept art, and it's not really all that similar to what we got. This figure is not a retool of Kingdom Airazor, that's a popular misconception. What this is just heavily inspired by that mold, but it is distinct in some important ways, specifically the bird mode. The robot mode, I could take or leave. We never saw this Airazor in robot mode, and this one's just a bit dull color-wise. But I do really like the bird mode. Of course, the best Rise of the Beast Airazor came from buzzworthy Bumblebee. The mainline deluxe Airazor is actually pretty similar to Energon Dive Bomb, of all figures, and is an incredibly fun and playable figure. It was so good that if you wanted to, you could just go to Japan and get the figure by itself. There was also the Beast Battlemaster Airazor that would give you the bird mode, but it could turn into two separate gun modes. There was a figural bag clip of Airazor. And finally, to bring the big year of Airazor to a close, there was a Funko Pop of Airazor, which I quite like. Good looking bird. Going into our current year of 2024, there was the Cross Studio bust of Airazor, which could actually open up and show her transformation cog. However, if you were to go to Takara Tomy markets, you could get the Beast Wars again, Airazor and Inferno. And this Airazor, man, it's just perfect. It's the Kingdom Airazor given the show accurate paint job, and I want it. I need it. I want this Airazor so badly. And that's it. Airazor has had an incredible history of action figures when it comes to proper Airazor. The name dumps and the mini-cons, they were hit or miss, but true bird Airazor, her toys have always been incredible, standouts, near pinnacle level figures for any toy line she was a part of. But I'm sure this gets to a question: why do I, Ron Bondajon, say that Airazor is such an important character to me? Why is it that when I make my top 5 favorite characters, I always seem to include Airazor? she doesn't show up in all that much. She's barely in the comics. She was hardly in the Beast Wars show. They killed her right in the beginning of Season 2. And it's because of, well, I think Airazor helped make me a better sibling. I don't mean to get too in the weeds with you guys, but my dad wasn't around for very long when I was a kid. And my mom, I mean, she tried, but she wasn't present much either. I am the oldest of 3 siblings, and I didn't really know how I should act, especially because, well, I'm male presenting and my 2 sisters are female presenting. And I didn't have someone who could really show me what a big sibling was supposed to act like. That's a big reason why I was so mesmerized by Airazor and her interactions with characters like Cheetor. There was something about this where even me, a very little kid, could recognize Airazor was acting the way a good big sibling would act to their little siblings. And I think that's a big part of why I like Airazor so much, is a very dumb kid at one point used Airazor to try to model what being a good big brother should look like. And because of that, I'm always going to have a very special place in my heart to Airazor. I think that she helped make me a better person, or at least a person I more wanted to be. And not many Transformers are like that. Transformers can be great characters. They mean a lot to me because I aspire to be like them, or because I wish I could write the way those characters were written. But Airazor personally helped me get to a place where I think I should have been. And for that reason, I'm always going to love this little bird from Beast Wars. She is an amazing character, and had a great effect on my personal life. Now guys, I'll ask you, which was your favorite Airazor? And is there an Airazor you're trying to track down right now? Now, we got a lot of characters to go over, but we're going to get to each and every one of them very, very soon. The next 2 up on the docket are going to be Dead End and Swindle. I don't really know who's going to go first, but both of them are going to be coming up, and then we're going to go back to Beast Wars to talk about Airazor's old boss, Optimus Primal, on Christmas Day. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll just see what we get up to next time.